Now to this, if you're a Putco bus commuter, you may need to find alternative transport come tomorrow. The company says it's suspending its bus services from tomorrow. Putco issued a statement saying this is due to an unpaid subsidy by the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Earlier, we spoke to Putco spokesperson Lindokuhle Xulu. Now let's hear from the department. We're joined virtually from here in Johannesburg by Dr. Thulani Mdadane. He's the head of the Gauteng Transport and Logistics Department. Thulani, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Putco confirmed to eNCA a short while ago that the reason for their suspension of their services across Gauteng, and we're told in other provinces as well tomorrow, is due to an unpaid March subsidy claim by the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Had you been aware of these unpaid subsidy claims? And if so, how was this allowed to happen?
Okay, good evening. Let me explain the fact to this issue. The payment that we have not paid to Putco is a payment of the portion of March that we have not paid. Generally speaking, in the entire government system, the financial year starts in April and ends in March. In March, we don't normally pay the service providers after a particular cut-off date. And in this regard, all service providers, particularly the bus operating companies that are servicing on our behalf, were paid a portion of March, and a portion of March was not paid after the cut-off of the system. And the Putco is fully aware of that system. We paid for 15 days in March. The remaining 15 days, we indicated to them that it will be paid when the system reopens in April, which is the new financial year. However, the challenge was dependent on the provision of budget from our National Department of Transport. You'd be aware that, and Putco is also aware that this money for bus operating grant comes from a national grant called the Public Transport Operating Grant. And unfortunately, because of the start of the financial year, provinces did not get the money in time in April. And however, our initial plan was that we were going to ask provincial treasury to assist and to advance, and so that we can do the payment to our bus companies. And unfortunately, the money from national could not come in time, and the commitment was the money would only reflect to provincial treasury books next Monday. And we have now made a provision that, because we do have a confirmation from our National Department of Transport that the money will come on Monday, our provincial treasury has allowed us to do what we call advance payment on condition that the money will be paid between the two departments. And Putco has been informed accordingly, and they're fully aware of this process. And it's not the first time this process is happening. So basically, the money that was not paid in March will be received by Putco with all other bus operating companies from Monday afternoon, when the money reflects on their books. But I can confirm here at this time that the money has been captured into the system. We are now waiting for the Treasury General run so that the money can be reflected on their books.
Now, Thulani, if you're saying that this has happened before, are you then saying Putco is not being completely truthful with the current state of affairs? Can you let us in on what your communication with Putco has been and what they have said to you about what situation they find themselves in if that money doesn't reflect on their side in time for them to keep their services running?
No. What is the fact of the matter? Yes, they have not been paid. That is truthful. But they are aware that in the first month of the start of the financial year, they do not generally receive the money within the end of that month. In this regard, April is the start of the government financial year, and then Putco with all other companies were informed of the due process that you've got to follow, that there will be a time lapse, and that time lapse will be, they will not be getting a portion of the money that were due in March, of the work done in March, and that money will be paid once the national government has duly transferred the money to provinces. That is a general practice in government, and they are fully aware. And I really believe that they are not truly honest on not knowing of this practice. And in all the other months, from April going forward to February, which is our end of the term of this contract financial year, we duly pay all invoices, just like we have done in the past financial year, where Putco has been receiving all their due payment on monthly, on time, and duly paid to them. So I found it strange that they are raising this as if they are not aware of the government process.
Is there a good faith issue between government and Putco? Because you're saying this has happened before, but are you also saying that it's never resulted in them not being able to run their services? Because now it's a very difficult situation, because you're dealing with a set of circumstances where thousands of commuters in Gauteng tomorrow might not be able to get to work because they depend on that transport. It's a really difficult situation that these commuters now have to carry the brunt of this standoff or a lack of communication between your department and Putco.
We have subsequently engaged Putco when this matter was, we got it through the media. As well, and then we engaged Putco, and as far as we understand the matter is resolved, because they've asked that they want a proof of payment, a letter from us confirming that indeed the money will be in their bank account on Monday, and the payment has been duly captured into the system, and we have already sent that letter this afternoon to Putco, and there is no reason now for them to suspend the bus services to commuters, because they have asked a confirmation of payment and a letter in writing from the department, and that has been correctly been done. And as far as we understand, it shouldn't be a situation of commuters suffering now, unless Putco has got other issues that they have not fully disclosed to us as a department and to the commuters on other reasons why they cannot duly make the buses available to the public.
It is now 8:20 on Wednesday night. We spoke to Putco a short while ago, and one of my colleagues spoke to the spokesperson Putco a short while ago. And when he spoke to them just a short while ago, as far as he was concerned, those services were still going to be suspended. It's now probably about an hour since then. Has there been communication this evening between yourselves and Putco, whereby you can try and figure out whether those services will continue tomorrow?
My team has communicated. I have a copy of the letter myself, the letter that my CFO has sent to Putco, and I can, after this engagement, confirm once again as an accounting officer that indeed Putco must provide a service tomorrow. If they are not providing a service tomorrow, they must tell us what are the other reasons beyond issue of payment, because it's not the entire March payment, it's just the 15 days of March that we have not paid and they have been complaining about. And that has been duly corrected now, and we have given them a confirmation, and that commitment has been in writing, and I'm expecting that they should, by tomorrow morning, proceed and provide the service. And indeed, I would engage them myself just to get my own personal commitment from the MD of
I'm not entirely sure how this works, but will your department will be keeping an eye tomorrow morning on the state of play with regards to the movement of commuters tomorrow, because people might need help if Putco does not come to the party, like you've just said?
Yes, indeed. We will ask them to probably communicate some form of communication to the commuters that buses will be available. We'll be observing the situation ourselves. We've got people on the ground that will be monitoring. In fact, we do have a company that monitors the movement of buses and the provision of service on a day-to-day basis. And that company is on the go. Will be ready to give us the report whether the service is correctly and accordingly provided to the commuters. And I think it's important that all of us as government and our private service providers, we do service in good faith and we are honest. And if there are other reasons beyond the issue of the 15-day outstanding payment that we could not pay and which we have already corrected, they must just tell us the truth. Otherwise, there are no other reasons. From where I'm sitting and information is sitting.
Before I let you go, Tulani, just out of interest, what other transport organizations does the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport subsidize in this similar way?
I think I like that because Putco is part of the 12 bus operating companies that the province is subsidizing through this grant. And this behavior you're only picking up from Putco. No one else. All other 11 companies which have been also consulted as part of the process are aware, and they are not talking about suspending of service. It's only Putco in this regard. But all other 11 that are currently benefiting from the grant, they are giving us a commitment and even went further to say that we'll continue to help with other expansion of services to areas where bus services are not currently being provided going forward, as part of ensuring that every commuter in this province does have access to bus services.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. I'm sure you wouldn't mind if our colleagues tomorrow morning get in touch with you just to get an update on this current situation. Thank you so much. Dr. Tulani Mdadane, he is with the Gauteng Transport and Logistics Department. We thank